Good evening. My name is Mrs. Zapla, and I am super excited to be your child's life science teacher this year. This is my 10th year of teaching and my 5th year at PV. As you can see, I've gone to school for a long time. I have a BA in psychology from Bloomsburg, a master's in curriculum and instruction from Drexel, and I'm currently working on a second master's in educational technology. I'm always going to school and always learning. This is my family. I have 2 children, Emmy and Keaton. Keaton is going into 1st grade at Schwenksville, so I know exactly what you're going through with this distance learning. Here are just some of the topics we'll cover this year in life science. This is not an exclusive list. We'll add some extra things in as we go. Here's what you can expect in my classroom. Each day when your child enters my Google Classroom Zoom link, they'll have a daily warm-up to complete. We'll take notes a couple of times a week and labs 1 to 2 times a week as we can under the new guidelines. Classwork will be almost daily and homework is almost never. Projects, I try to give them a lot of time to do in school, but they may have some at home work. And assessments usually come every 2 to 3 weeks in the form of quizzes or tests. Here's a breakdown of how your child will be graded this year in my class. The participation is very important, especially as we're doing our online virtual voyage. Here's my email address. Feel free to contact me at any time, though I do ask that you allow 48 hours for me to respond. This year may look a little different and not like we're used to, but we're going to get through this together.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandy Rogers and welcome to Meet the Teacher Night. Again, my name is Mrs. Rogers and I teach Math 7. This is my 7th year on the Athenian team teaching math, and I really look forward to this school year. I look forward to working with all of your children. I love teaching 7th grade and I absolutely love math. Some of the content and curriculum we'll be doing this year, this is a pre-algebra course. It's called Math 7, but it is pre-algebra. We'll start the year looking at the number system, looking at everything from integers and operations with integers, and going into the real number system, which would include rational numbers, decimals, fractions, operations with fractions and decimals. And then we will move on at that point into proportions and proportional reasoning, where we'll introduce variables. And that will move us into a unit on percents, which is one of my favorite units because it's so real life and a lot of applications. So we have a really good time doing a lot of real world type problems in our percents unit. And then we move on into more of the foundations of algebra, where we work on algebraic expressions, distributive properties, simplifying expressions with variables. And then we move into solving equations and inequalities. And then we get into a little probability at the end of the year and powers and exponents. So it's a lot and I look forward to it. I love working with students with math. I love the challenge of helping them develop a growth mindset and for them to know that they can do it. And when they achieve it, it's so much fun and it's so exciting for me. My expectations. So this year, of course, is starting out a little different. But we're going to make it work. We're going to make the best of it. And so I expect all my kids to make sure they're signing into Google Classroom, attending class and signing in with the attendance. And I expect them to be paying attention and really just trying their best. If they have questions, however they need to ask me those questions while we're virtual, whether it be through an email or through the chat on a Zoom meeting or session, any of those ways, it's just so important that they know they can ask questions. It's okay. And that's my job, is to help them. So I want them to work their best. I do expect them to complete their assignments on time. That's very important, especially because math builds, the skills build upon the older skills, so they have to be on top of things. The grade breakdown will be all classwork. Anything that I check that goes into their grade will comprise 20% of their total grade, and then all assessments, quizzes, and tests will be 80% of their total grade. You will be receiving a workbook when you do your grab and go, and it's called the Interactive Study Guide. We will use that throughout our study. So I expect them to make sure they have this workbook by their side when they're in math class. We'll use it for warm-ups or review of skills. And as far as having a calculator, that would be important, especially when we are back in class face-to-face. We do have a class set available, but just a basic scientific calculator is all they will need. A TI-30 is a simple, very attainable calculator that is very practical and useful. So if they would have that, that would be wonderful. So again, I really look forward to working with your students, and I'm sure communicating with you. It's going to be really important this year, especially as we start things off. There's a few things about myself. I love my family. My family is the most important thing to me. I'm married. I have a stepson who lives in Tennessee. He coaches gymnastics. I have 3 daughters. One just started college at Kutztown this year, and I have 2 that are in high school. I love to exercise. I like running. I work out in my gym downstairs in my basement. And I just love to stay positive and put all my energy and focus into helping my students and learn math. And I really am glad to be starting this school year. I look forward to working with all of you. And thanks. Have a great evening.
Welcome to my class. My name is Miss Eskin, and I am your child's 7th grade English teacher this year, starting virtually in 2020. We may think that we know what success is because we tend to define success as if it were a goal. In reality, success is more of a journey than a destination. And this year will definitely be a journey. So before I start talking about our journey this year, I know you want to know some things about me and my journey and how I ended up here at PV. So prior to teaching, I actually was a financial accountant. I worked in the business world for a number of years up in Boston. And while I really enjoyed what I was doing, I didn't love it. And I was taking some classes at Boston University, and I took a career test while I was there. And at that time, they said I should go into education based on the results of my test. And I did my student teaching in Boston, and to be honest, I couldn't have made a better choice. I love teaching. I graduated from Boston University undergrad in the School of Education, and I got my master's degree from Long Island University in educational technology, and I did a post-grad fellowship up in the University of Alaska in cross-cultural studies. So I've done a lot of stuff. I'm still always taking classes and learning more. I'm 31 years this year in education, and I'm really happy that I've been able to do this with my life. I love teaching. I hope my students get a lot out of my class. I know that I get a lot out of my experience. My most important journey, though, in my life was something I did in 2009, which was the road less traveled. After my divorce, I had no children with my husband, and being a child to some incredibly talented and wonderful parents, I couldn't imagine my life not being a parent to a child. So in 2009, I brought this little guy back from Russia. This year, Sam will be a 7th grader at PV on the Spartan team. So some of you might know him. So why do we study English language arts? Well, to put it simply, there isn't any career, any job, anything that we do as human beings that doesn't require our ability to be good communicators. We need to be able to read, to write, and comprehend what others are expressing and comprehend why and what they're doing. And it's really about looking at the big picture. What we study in English and language arts is a lot of different subtopics and areas of literature, but it's really about understanding our fellow human beings and being able to express those ideas. And that's what we're going to learn about this year in English in lots of different ways. So what are some of the things we're going to study this year? Our topics include reading, writing, grammar, spelling, vocabulary, literary concepts, test-taking strategies, public speaking, informational text, short fiction, poetry, drama, novels, research, and technology. I promise your child will have some incredibly great experiences this year, and I'm hoping that they walk out of here with a lot more than they walked in with. I'd like to leave you with one thought. There's one really important thing you need to know. Please, please, please contact me directly at my email if you have any questions or concerns regarding your child in my class. We are a team, and I can't do this without you. Thank you so much for your time.
Is tonight Meet the Teacher night? Oh my gosh, I nearly forgot. If I would have known you were coming, I would have gotten something to eat tonight. Like a pork release tomato pie. Every year on Meet the Teacher night, I always try to have something to eat for my parents. It just makes it kind of a nice icebreaker with them. My name is Mr. Chuck Testa, and I teach social studies in 7th grade. This is going to be my 22nd year here in the Perkiomen Valley School District, and it is the best job I ever had. A little bit of background about myself. I received a BA in political science from LaSalle. I worked a couple years in politics and government, returned back to LaSalle and received an MBA in the late 80s and worked for Aetna US Healthcare and the Ford Motor Company. Didn't really care for industry, went back to LaSalle one more time and received a Master's of Education from LaSalle with a certification in social studies. And I've been here at Perk Valley, and it's the best job I've ever had, and I love my job. A little bit about me personally. I have been married for 16 years to my wonderful wife, Christy, and we have 3 children, ages 8, 11, and 13, that are wonderful, loving, challenging, exhausting children who keep 57-year-old daddy young. So that's a little bit about me personally. We're going to be going through 3 major units this school year. We cover on the topics of geography, U.S. and world geography. We cover topics in local and state government, and along with that, topics such as citizenship and jury duty and other similar topics like that. And we also teach economics. And with the local, let's get back to the local government and a little bit of federal. We want to teach that unit first this year in conjunction with current events because of the prominence of the upcoming election. In 2016, my students really enjoyed talking and learning about presidential politics. And usually that unit is done in the spring, but I'm going to do that unit first in time with the upcoming election. The unit on economics, I teach and discuss economic systems, but I also talk about personal economics, personal finance. And I do an activity with your child, in which I have them research various jobs. And I'll have them research a job. Maybe it's a job that pays $48,000 a year or $4,000 a month. And they think that's great. They just got out of college, or just got out of tech school, and then making $48,000 a year. That's not too bad. And then I say, well, there's these other things you need to consider. These payroll taxes, such as FICA, which helps to pay for your grandparents who might be retired, federal taxes, which go to Washington and pay for the military and national parks, state government for the state police and state highways, and local government for your local police department, fire departments, and local parks. So then that might leave your student with a net income of $3,000. And they think that's pretty good. And then I introduce them some hard reality. I introduce to them their bills. Now I give them choices as to where they can live and where they can, how they get around, what kind of car. They make their own choices. And then I also tell them about, bills that they have to pay, such as PICO and gasoline and food and so forth. And so when we get all those bills added up, they might have a lot of expenses. And I have them also have to pay their college, begin paying their college loan off. And as well as I try to have them start to also put some savings. Now sometimes a student, and when we're using the spreadsheet, will get red parentheses. And then they'll say, Mr. Testa, is that good? And I say, oh, no, I'm sorry. You need to maybe refigure some of your calculations. Maybe instead of owning a Jaguar at $699 a month, maybe you need to invest in a used Ford Fusion. Instead of that apartment in Chestnut Hill, maybe you should consider an apartment in Lansdale or Pottstown or another municipality that's a little bit more affordable. And we do this exercise about 3 times to see how far and how much their money can go. So I just wanted to introduce this to you, and thank you for visiting. Are you still here? In my spare time, I've been a volunteer firefighter for over 40 years for the Upper Gwinnett Township Fire Department. Let's answer the call for a great school year this year.